Hello everyone and welcome back to Silicon Sounds, audio for the rest of us. Today I have the distinct pleasure of reviewing an IEM manufactured in Canada, Plunge Audio, and their model called the Unity. I like to subtitle this video as a look into the musical mirror. Plunge Audio is an epitome of a boutique brand. Absolutely. From manufacturing to marketing, the company is a one-man show. Each IM is hand-built in Canada, and the Unity has some very unique characteristics that set itself aside from virtually all the competition. Firstly, it's not made of the typical resin or metal materials, but of a 3D printed vinyl material. This required a special printer to be employed to take advantage of this material's unique properties and its inertness, for example. In addition, the design of the shell itself is interesting for its nozzle angulation, which more closely follows the natural curvature of the human ear canal. We'll get into all of that soon. Let me open up the box here. Here we have the IEMs. Absolutely. Let's pull these out first, and let's talk about the Plunge Audio Unity. What makes these unique? Well, there's a number of things. The shell design, absolutely different. And when I talk about nozzle angulation, I'll show you what I mean. Here we have the Kiwi Air's Melody, for example. And if you look at the nozzle angulation, it's hard to tell on this angle. Let me turn it a bit. You will see the difference. Actually, I should use this shell. Look at the difference. It's quite visible. Hopefully you can see it on the camera and how they're angled differently. And I'll talk about why the Plunge Audio chose this type of design soon. It utilizes a quad driver tubeless damperless design with tuned acoustic nozzle chamber. What that means in layman's terms is they don't use dampers in the nozzle or elsewhere to tune this. It's the internal chamber where the balanced armatures are mounted that is shaped and formed to do all of the tuning. In fact, if you can look closely in the nozzle, it's completely void of anything. There's nothing there, just a chamber. This is definitely a marked departure from almost all other manufacturers in both design and tuning approach. The result is a cohesive sound with mind-blowing soundstage and imaging, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Plunge's main guy, his name is Simon Fisk, and his background is very interesting and tailor-fit to become an IEM manufacturer. He's both a recognized musician and a licensed audiologist. Hence, we could get now an understanding of why the shape of the Plunge. It's almost, I would call it like a hybrid custom. Even though they're technically universals, the design is more akin to a custom, if that makes any kind of sense. This is quite a potent mix with respect to the potential of Plunge Audio, given the designer's understanding of both the basic structure of the human ear and his accomplished appreciation of music. With respect to tuning, on top here is a mid-centric, balanced sonic presentation. Sounds like two conflicting things, but it's not. With absolutely standout technicalities and detail retrieval. Easy to drive. The Plunges are quite easy to drive. Not really overly fussy with sources per se, but because of their resolving nature, I would say that a well-resolving, warmer source would get the best out of what the Unity can provide. So let's talk about how it sounds. First, the specs. Not much to talk about here. It's a quad driver setup, all balanced armatures. If I'm not mistaken, please correct me if I am. Impedance 36 ohms, sensitivity 94 decibels, noise isolation 28 decibels. Build, fit, and quality. Very well built IEM. The finish is textured. If you can see the texture, right? And is akin or an ode to the materials used in its construction. As soon as you pick these up, and have these in their hands and rub on them, you could tell immediately that this is not your typical resin, definitely not metal. It's light in weight and medium in size. I have to point out once again the nozzle angle more closely follows the natural angulation of the human ear canal. This aids in fitment and keeping the unity secured in place. And according to Plunge, it has sonic benefits as well, particularly with imaging, and I cannot refute that at all. I think they're on point. They're onto something. The included case, as we saw, is both unique in its look and feel. It really feels like it's made out of the same materials as the IEMs themselves. Sorry, my pad is moving. As the IEM themselves. Included accessories are definitely of high quality. We have Sydney AirFit tips that are included. X-elastic tips. We have another set of tips over here. The wire is exceptionally high quality. It is an 8-wire 7N OCC copper silver alloy multi-stranded cable. It has beryllium copper MMCX connections with aluminum gold plated internal leads and contacts on the IEMs or in the IEMs itself. This is stark contrast to the kilobuck IEMs that I've heard whose accessories are more at home in the budget product. I've had $3,000 USD IEMs grace my ears whose cables look like they came out of the budget $15 IEM. Quite disappointing, but again, at the end of the day, you're listening to the IEM for the most part. Quality is the theme here. Very well done Plunge audio. You can see where it has magnetic pads to keep it closed. It is a very sturdy case, very nicely done. I wish they would sell these separately. Plunge, sell these separately as well. Very, very nice. And of course, made in Canada. I'm a little biased here as I am also living in Canada. Let's get back to the Plunge audio. Unity. Bass. The Plunge Audio Unity offers a balanced bass presentation. This is not an IEM for bass heads. Let me just get that out of the way right now. We can see the beautiful MMCX connector here. Very well done. Love or hate MMCX, they work quite well. It's really for individuals who have a more discerning taste when it comes to audio and can appreciate what the Plunge Unity brings to the table. Bass goes deep with great control. Here we have a low end that follows closely what is present in the track without added enhancements. If you're looking for boom, boom, boom in all of your songs, the embellishments, the enhancements, the Plunge is not for you. If you're looking for detail, speed, texture retrieval, all of that, the Plunge audio is something you need to seriously consider, in particular for its asking price of well below 1,000 USD. Well below. Bass goes deep with great control. Here we have a low end again that follows what's present in the track. On Mannix by Intelligent Hoodlum, for example, one of my test tracks, drum and bass tracks for bass drops and other things, the bass drops were cleanly played with ample power and grunt, but they weren't overblown. They didn't overhang. They didn't slam unnaturally, for example. The double bass on Robert Glasper Trio's incredible track, No Worries, another standout track I use for testing, is cleanly relayed with great definition as well. Likewise on Circumstance by the late great Wayman Tisdale. A high level of detail playback was again enjoyed. If anything, and I'm nitpicking here, but if anything, I would have preferred occasionally just a touch more body to the low end with some tracks, with the Unity sometimes coming off as a tad dry on occasion. Other than that, it is very well done. You hear what's in the song, don't expect anything more. For an audiophile or someone who's really into quality sound, the Plunge Audio Unity's got you covered. Mid-range. The mid-range of the Plunge Audio Unity is clean and exceptionally open with ample detail retrieval. Technicalities here are on high alert. This IEM is a technical beast. Everything that's in the track will be laid bare with nothing to hide. No harshness was noted. Vocals in general are a treat, being more intimate than recessed. Amber Navarin's vocals and Moonchild's Change Your Mind was as whimsical as ever. Absolutely love Moonchild, with every nuance enjoyed without restriction or veil. Male vocals get the same treatment. Gregory Isaacs' vocals on the classic track Night Nurse came through with exceptional clarity. It's interesting when you listen to Gregory Isaacs in particular, or even Dennis Brown, reggae artists, how their voices are so nuanced, but people get caught up in the beat and the rhythm and the bass line. But listen to their voices and hear what greatness really is. Tender-Hearted Lover by John Stoddart has all the emotional elements of his vocal delivery delivered to you front and center. The handling of dynamics and transients were also very well done. Clean, sharp attack, and natural decay. Timbre is also very good, aiding in the immersive quality of the sound. Layering and separation are definitely top tier, with an expansiveness to the sound that has to be heard. It adds or aids the separation of the instruments, yet it's just something that has to be heard. And really, at this price or any price above, I very rarely, if ever, heard anything that comes this close, particularly when it comes to imaging and soundstage, which we'll get to very soon. The only nitpick I have, and this is a very small nitpick, and it's because of personal preference, is I would have preferred on just occasions slightly more note weight. I'm a note weight fiend. For example, the Yanyan Canon has an exceptional note weight. Even the High Senior T4, being an all BA set as well, has slightly better note weight. But again, it's not always, you don't always miss it. And you have to be someone like me who that is one of my top 3 things. But other than that, I would say that the Unity is really a mirror. It's an audio mirror. It will play back faithfully what is put in. The mid-range is of definitely high quality indeed. Treble. Now the treble is interesting for a good reason. The treble of the Plunge Audio Unity is well extended with great clarity, definition, and ample detail. There are very good quantities of air and sparkle here as well. Also notable is the detail retrieval and definition of the treble without being harsh or grainy at all. It seems to me that the tuner, well, the person who runs the company also tunes these, has a goal here with the treble. The goal, it seems, is to complement the rest of the frequency spectrum as opposed to making a statement on its own. And in that regard, Plunge Audio Unity does this very well. The treble is well done and really enhances the overall sonic presentation of the Unity. Imaging and soundstage. Now we got to talk about this. This is different. The Plunge Audio Unity has what I like to call next level soundstage and imaging with well-recorded music. And again, as a mirror, it will mirror back and play what you put into it. If you put poor quality tracks, the Plunge is actually quite forgiving. I'll be honest with you. Something with this amount of resolution and technicalities does have a fairly good amount of forgiveness in playback. But feed it with quality tracks and let the magic begin. The soundstage is expansive with a level of dimensionality, I didn't pronounce that right, a dimensionality that I have not heard in any other in-ear monitor. Instrument placement is solid even though the soundstage is expansive. What's so special about the Unity is where it places the listener. The listener becomes an active participant in the soundscape. For example, listening to Stimula by Hugh Masekela, I was transported into the band itself and not just a member in an audience watching a band in a very well-defined venue, by the way, in terms of dimensions. I admit that when I first heard the Unity, I popped it in my ears and I was playing some Eden Atwood and I was taken back. I popped them out, I reseated them, I changed tips. So I was taken back by how it presents dimensions and soundstage. In particular, because of the IAMs I had listened to just previously, it took a little bit of time, not much, very little, but it took a little bit of time. I was so taken back. I will say that it took a very short while to become used to this experience. Listening to the DSD files of Eden Atwood's great album Waves, at times I found my vantage point to be in the band itself. Not even outside listening, in the band. Guitar was on my left, she was directly in front of me, something was behind. It was an incredible experience. Instrument placement was solid, and being able to discern each instrument in their space or in their position in space was exceptionally easy. This is something special here, and it admittedly is hard to describe in words. So in conclusion, the Plunge Audio Unity is not for everyone. It's not. And I would say what IAM is, none are. There's no such thing as one size fits all. For those who treasure pounding bass, thick mid-range, and zippy treble, this is not going to float your boat. The Unity is for those who demand to hear what's really in the music without an added filter or other kind of embellishment. It is a musical mirror, so to speak. It is also for those who appreciate the playback with great dimension, the portrayal of dimensions. The Unity is really a labor of love from a company who I believe is poised to do big things. The Plunge Audio Unity gets a solid recommendation from Silicon Sounds. I want to thank Plunge Audio, and I really want to thank the Canuck Audioholics Group that I'm part of, a small group of very dedicated reviewers here in Canada, for sharing around the Plunge and arranging for this to be shared within our small but dedicated group of opinionated music lovers. Thanks once again for watching this video. Keep an eye on the channel, join, subscribe, tell others about it. Take care, everyone.